We're recording the meeting, obviously. All right. And the slides have just been shared in the chat if you want to follow along with the slides today. So I think you all know who I am, hopefully, but if not, I'll introduce myself. I'm Jen Mutch. I'm the science coordinator at the Santa Clara County Office of Education, and I'm part of the Cali County Office of Innovation, County Office of Ed Innovation Hub, and we're here with our team here today. Presenting our, I think this is the second meeting for the year. So welcome everybody to our community practice. And our agenda for today, it's a you know, not a jam-packed agenda, but we have a lot to share with you today. So we are going to start by putting in the chat, kind of like what we did last time. If you were here last time, we're asking for you to prioritize some topics that we will use in the first hour or so. In our first hour together, we're going to be doing some discussion around some topics, and then we're also going to talk to you about a little bit about the Inflation Reduction Act. And then we'll go into breakouts and then find out, you know, let you continue that discussion on those topic areas. And we'll come in and join you in the chat breakout rooms if there's need for us to be there. And then the second hour, we'll do a deeper dive into the topic of curriculum and instruction and what lever points there might be for you to continue this environmental literacy work in your county office. And I see lots happening in the chat. So here's the QR code. Also, if you prefer to just do this on your phone, or if you want to use the link that was in the chat, just choose a topic that you're interested in discussing today. Even if it was the same one as last month, that's fine. And you can continue, and we'll put you in the breakouts in a little bit. Lots of behind the scenes work that will be happening with that. So if you could just show me maybe with a sum up or something that you were able to get that link and you're able to pick your topic, that'd be awesome. And we can move on. And it's, again, that's in the chat as well. All right. Thanks, everybody. So again, welcome. Glad you're here today. We want to make sure that you are, you know, comfortable in your space and everything. And oops, sorry, I meant to not do that. It's on too many things. You're here again for the community practice for the County Office of Education Innovation Hub. And we're all glad you're here. If you wanted to also share who you are in the chat, we'll have a minute to share it about, you know, connect in a minute or so. Sorry, I'm kind of discombobulated today. You know, aren't we all sometimes? So I do want to, we always want to talk about land acknowledgement and the importance of it, but also how to do it in a correct way. So I wanted to share, and this will be put in the chat as well. I found this really great resource, and I'm not going to say it correctly, but this land trust that's based in things in the Bay Area, and they are working on, you know, land back kinds of policies, and they just have some really great tools that would help you if you are still in the process of developing a land acknowledgement, or if you want to have this discussion in your county offices. Just to share, you know, a few of our county offices have worked with our local Indigenous folks to help with developing our land acknowledgement. And then I also wanted to share kind of a funny video, but it comes from the Canadian Broadcasting Company, and it's from a comedian, and I thought it was just an appropriate way to kind of think about land acknowledgement. And I will show you that to you now.
Hello.
Hello. Okay?
First, I'd like to remind everyone here to turn off your cell phones. Before we begin this evening's performance, we would like to acknowledge that this theater stands on territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, and the Petun First Nations. We are also mindful of broken covenants and the need to make right with all our relations. And now, please enjoy the show.
Oh, sorry, hello? Sorry, excuse me, should we go?
Excuse me?
Oh, no, I just mean if we're on someone else's land, shouldn't we leave?
Oh, no. The theater is here now. We'd just like to acknowledge whose land it is.
I'm sorry, I'm so confused. So if we're on someone else's land, shouldn't shouldn't we do something about that? Or,
Hopefully we'll enjoy the performance.
oh, okay, so some of the money from the ticket sales of the show are going to the indigenous communities?
Well, no.
A portion of them?
No, the ticket sales go to the theater.
So is the money from the bottled water sold here going to the First Nations for clean drinking water, or?
Oh no, that money goes to Nestle.
Nestle.
They're a sponsor.
I'm so sorry. I'm so confused. So whose land are we on? What are we doing?
It's a dialogue.
How are we making right?
Well, there's a plaque you can read in the lobby.
I don't understand.
I'm getting a message from the stage manager that we need to begin the show, so please take your seats.
But,
Have a good time.
but,
Good night.
so sit down. Enjoy the show. Just enjoy the show.
All right. So I just thought that was a good thing to share with you all, because it does have to make us think about, we do really need to not use a land acknowledgement as just a superficial thing. We need to make sure we move beyond it and work with our communities, our Indigenous partners on the work that we are doing. So, and that's linked in the slide deck. So if you wanted to use it, you're more than welcome to. And move on to the next slide. Oops, sorry, let's do that. So again, our objectives of this community practice, I'll quickly read through this, and I know you all could read, but sometimes people like auditory processing too. So we're doing this by sharing our resources and innovative practices. This community practice intends to build the capacity of county offices of education to serve as regional backbone support for the following outcomes in each county. So supporting access to regular and ongoing environmental and outdoor learning experiences for students by working with school districts, teachers, and community-based partners. And this work centers on supporting those from the most vulnerable and marginalized communities. We also are supporting development of district-wide plans and include experiences for students at all grade levels with an emphasis on low-income students and students of color. And we're applying frameworks that integrate environmental literacy and sustainability into the curriculum, campus, community, and culture, and infusing sustainability principles and practices into County Office of Education core operations. So hopefully some of you are getting into that work. So in the chat, so a little connector now. So if you would like to share in the chat what fall traditions that you enjoy in your home or in your region. This is kind of a neat time of year for a lot of us. It's the changing of weather and things like that. And I would share just quickly that one of the traditions that I haven't been doing, but I used to love, is carving pumpkins. And so I got to see a garden lesson the other day at one of our schools, and the teacher had kids opening up a pumpkin and getting their hands in and pulling the seeds and everything out. And I'm like, oh, I used to love doing that. Oh, and Amy's sharing her new fall tradition. The cutest puppy. So go ahead in the chat and share fall traditions. Awesome. Ooh, and Amy, thank you for sharing that. Yes. Oh, Dia de los Muertos. Yes. Oops. Mushrooms. Oh, yeah. Raking up the leaves. Lots of that happening. That visit to the pumpkin farm. So many around here that it's hard to drive over. It's like Half Moon Bay, I guess, is the area around here that has the best pumpkins. And it gets really crowded over there during this time of year. Friday night lights, nice. Pumpkin pie making, yes. Yeah. Oh, corn mazes. Oh, that's fun too. Pie making, huckleberry. Oh my gosh, I want to come and hang out with all of you. Yeah, enjoying the weather. I love that. Like this morning was a little more crisp and cold. So I just love that shift when I take the dog out for the morning walk. Baking, yes, warm beverages. Nice, thanks all for sharing that. And so I think we are ready for the next part. I'm going to pass this back to Amity for a little bit to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah, this is going to be just a very quick announcement about this funding source. And we will be inviting Stephanie from Undaunted K-12 to come back and do like a deeper Q&A. She wasn't able to be here today, but they have created a website to explain this opportunity for schools and districts to get funding for greening facilities. So the website is there to explore. And if you go to the next slide, these are sort of the main things to know about it. This is a non-competitive funding opportunity with unlimited funding from the federal government. The funds are going to be available over the next 10 years, and the schools and districts receive the funding as a cash reimbursement for their investments. And yeah, crazy, amazing opportunity. And the next slide, please. These are some of the things that we're seeing are being most widely used for this funding source. So if you know of districts who are wanting to put in solar energy or heat pumps or change over their bus fleet or get EV chargers, all these things are reimbursed. They get a percentage reimbursed, and it's non-competitive. And I just wanted to mention the only urgency around this is that if you know of districts that have done any of these kinds of things in the last calendar year in 2023, they actually can submit for reimbursement now, probably through the end of this calendar year. And then moving forward with new investments, of course, they can do it for those as well. But just if you know of any districts, let them send them this information, and they can probably get money back. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Like I said, Stephanie was going to come and present. She'll come back so people can ask more questions. But in the meantime, there's a wonderful website they've put together to make it easier to navigate and get the information about this. So spread it widely. That's it.
All right, thank you, Amity, for that. If anyone, I'm trying to think of our timings. Are we ahead of time? I don't have my agenda with me. So we have a couple minutes before we do breakout, or no? Are we ready for that part? We are? Oh, okay.
Ready.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. So if we have a little time at the end, we'll do a more discussion. But and it's funny, I love watching Amy. Amy, the puppy is attacking her. It cracks me up. All right, let me refresh the slides because now you're going to see the breakdown of the topics in the next slide. And I'll oops. Oh, my computer is not behaving very well. Let me do this real quick. You don't see all the crazy behind the scenes. I think I have too many tabs open. That's probably the problem. All right, there it is. Now I can share again. Hopefully, there it is. Okay. All right, so here are our topics for discussion for a little while in the breakout rooms. And oh, go ahead, Julie. Sorry, this is you.
No worries. Hi, everybody. I'm Julie Hilborn. I'm the Environmental Literacy and Sustainability Coordinator at the San Mateo County Office of Education. And we all hopefully put our topics, did the little form and put your choice of topics for today. Amy, being a superhuman with her puppy on her lap, created this graph for us. So it looks like most popular is organizing a community-based partner network. We also have curriculum integration, getting buy-in for environmental literacy, and supporting districts and leading environmentally focused professional communities. So if you don't see the one that you chose, it just means that, actually, I think these are all of them. So Amy has made breakout rooms for us. So if you go to the breakout rooms, you'll be able to see the different topics and you can choose your breakout room. So whichever one you would like to talk about with other folks, you can go ahead and join that room. And we have right here, I'm in Jen's right now, so I can't click on it, but where it says add notes here during breakouts, that is a note-taking tool for everybody to use. Yeah, thank you, Jen. So feel free to use that note-taking tool as you are in the breakouts. And I can't see the agenda right now, so I'm not sure what the timing is. Can someone just jump in with the timing for the breakouts?
We'll have until about 10, a little bit before 10, and come back out to, yeah, till 9:55 to come out and do some debrief.
Yes.
So go ahead and capture notes, because then if you're not in a group, people will be able to see what went on, resources that were shared in the other groups. And there's also an extra spare room if there is, like, if you're here with a team and you want to just break out to talk about, you know, work that's not in one of the options we presented.
Perfect. Thanks, Amity.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we are ready, and Amy is our breakout room master. So go ahead and join the breakout room that you would like to join.
Oh yeah, great point. You can also hop from room to room. You can go for half the time to one and switch rooms. Totally fine. No judgment.
Hi, did you guys send the breakout room, or am I to choose it?
Yeah, you can choose it. So if you just go to the breakout rooms, you can see down on the bottom, the
Join breakout
breakout room.
room.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all the way in the three dots
Um,
area from
yeah,
where.
you have to scroll down in order to
Got
see
it. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm in,
Let's see if I
I'm
can try
on
it
my
again.
phone, and the breakout room is not showing up for me.
We
Is
can try
there-
and assign you if there's a
Yeah.
topic you know you want.
I would love that. And so I was listening when the topics went by. So if you could share that with me again, and I could tell you which room I would like to be in.
Yeah. So we've got the Community-Based Partners Network, curriculum integration, professional learning, getting buy-in for environmental literacy, and
Ooh,
youth.
that one.
program.
Getting,
That
getting
one?
by it.
Right now, there isn't
Please.
anyone else in that room.
Oh, okay. So the first one that you said, I haven't joined yet. So if there's no one in
The
there,
community-based partner one.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. They're off. And
All
now
right.
we can go
Okay.
and join in. Good job. Good job, team.
Oh, I know. It's weird though. Today everything's wonky. It's like slow and might be user error.
Well, we can't tell, Jen. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't seem like there were any problems, but you're the
what
one
is
who's
happening?
having them. Yeah.
Yeah. We always feel them more than they show, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
It's
that's
interesting,
where-
nobody chose getting buy-in for environmental literacy or youth programs. Everybody's in professional learning, curriculum integration.
Yep.
This
Yeah.
is
I
a
think
this
that-
is a strong group. Who wants
Yeah.
to help you here? I mean, a lot of these people, I mean, I know all of them except Danielle, and they all have like some experience or were fellows or something. So
Yeah, I'm torn about going, oh, I don't know where to go.
I think I'll go to professional learning.
I think I'm going to go to curriculum integration for now, but I might be in professional learning later, Julie.
Okay, we can hop around.
Yep.
And I don't
okay,
mind
you guys all
joining.
should be
And then
co-hosts.
what time do we want to bring them back? Because I looked at the agenda, but it was just the block times I realized. So I was like, oh,
We said 30 minutes for this, so I think
Yeah.
longer than that is a bit too much. So we might.
oh yeah, definitely.
So I think when we bring them back, we could do that, that little short round chat thing too. We can have them.
Well, that's what I mean. Like maybe bring
Yeah.
them back earlier than 30 minutes. So there's that time to look at the notes document, maybe share the screen and
Mhm.
just like have anybody share out any big ahas from their rooms,
Mhm.
whole group, especially since it's such a small group.
Yeah.
Bring it back
like
at
that would be good.
45.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of, I told them 55, but I think hopefully they would understand. I mean, 20 minutes is
Yeah.
a good amount of
Maybe
time. That's
50.
Yeah.
That's a good
Happy
chunk.
We
New
could send them a
Year.
message too.
Yeah.
We
Well,
could-
or when we're visiting the rooms, we could tell them.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to curriculum integration, and
Okay.
I'll let
I'll
them know.
go.
when I'm
I'll
there.
go to the CBP network. So.
Okay.
And Amy can wrestle with the puppy.
So she's doing something else. It might be destroying it, but that's fine. I'm here. I'm present with
Aw.
you guys. All the doors
I
are
love it.
closed. You think everything's off the floor. You think it
You
is.
know. Oh, I have to share with you what I have.
All right. Well, hopefully you all had some really rich conversations. We did definitely in the professional learning session and can't wait to talk a little more. So we did bring you out a little earlier than we had originally said. We thought it would be good to have more time for sharing with everyone. So let me share my screen here and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. Okay. So hopefully you had a really rich conversation and we wanted to be able to share out both verbally and also on a Jamboard. So, we have our notes that we took in all of our breakout sessions. So if you could just click on that Jamboard and we're going to share gots and needs from what we talked about. So over here. So here we have the GOTS from today's community of practice. Actually, I think maybe let's share out first. Let me go backwards here. So let's just go back because the GOTS and needs are a little bit different. Whoops, I'm going forwards. Okay, so let's share the note sheet here. And then if people want to just kind of jump in and share out some of the great things that you talked about in your breakout room, let's do a little share out right now. So maybe we'll start with curriculum integration. Would be somebody be willing to share out there?
I was really thankful for Amity sharing the resources for Be Wet, and that helps me with like that starting point of basically creating a menu for teachers to lean back on when thinking about problem-based projects and learning, and having it more environmentally based. Because yeah, we're rolling out an environmental literacy component to our unit design, and that really helped.
Thank you. Yeah, this looks like this breakout room has so many resources to share. I know Amity is like an encyclopedia of environmental literacy. So
Well, Gloria had amazing resources to share too from her district and site about this unit design process that they do that puts action projects into the curriculum, and that she's looking to have all be transitioned to being environmentally focused in the future. Yay for that. But that is a process they've been using at her site, and has a whole system for paying teachers for redesigning the units, and then paying them again for writing an article about the redesign of their units, and like a very interesting model that I think we might want to invite her to share a little bit more about whole group at future community of practice. And we also had some interesting discussion about how to bring family in into the curriculum sphere and integrate in environmental literacy, like in family science nights and math nights. And Yami talked about having open house during the school day. And yeah, that was very interesting to hear about too. So lots of good discussion. Thanks to everyone in the breakout for sharing.
Incredible. Yeah, thank you for sharing out as well and for putting all of those resources in there. Is there anything else from curriculum integration that anyone wants to share? Okay, let's move on to the community partnerships group, if someone would be willing to share from that group.
We're just so quiet now. We're not in the breakout rooms. I'll go ahead. I think the keyword that I heard over and over and over again was relationships, you know, building those relationships with your community-based partners, to making sure to see how they can support, you know, your districts and your teachers. And I was sharing in my, you know, work that I've done over the last few years, is just we have been the support for those partners, especially during the pandemic, you know, kind of helping them navigate the pandemic, because a lot of them had to shift to virtual field trips and things like that. And then also post-pandemic, you know, kind of reconnecting them with the districts. And I think the other thing that bubbled up was just that we are the thread of all the things happening, and not to forget about expanded learning as well, and making sure we're including them. And I don't know, there's more that I probably missed, but that's pretty much in a nutshell.
All right, that's amazing, Jen. And looks like there's lots of resources in here as well for people to use. Anyone else from community partnerships like to share?
I mean, I guess I just have to put in a plug for the partner portal, because community-based partners get their information on there for free, and then a county office of ed can gather up partners as well too, and even reaching out to folks to get them to get the information on the portal for educators to access can be a starting point for building community. And then just that Amity and maybe some other folks here, I'm not sure, put together a community-based partner network toolkit. It's listed there a couple of years ago, and this is based on a lot of research, but also a lot of like actual experience by folks that had been putting together environmental literacy community-based partner networks. So you don't need to feel like you are starting from scratch on any of that work. And then I heard Summer say in a room that like the foundation of all of this is relationships. And so, yeah, it's not just like getting on a website, it's all those conversations that you have with people about matching up, you know, programs and schools and districts and all of that, and being a trusted matchmaker in that sense.
Yes, excellent. Thank you, Amy. Thanks for pointing out the portal. And here's some great questions for everybody. Does your COE have its own site? Is your CB listed here? So great questions for all of us who are not in this breakout room. Okay, professional learning. So Gloria and Maya and I were in there. This was our smallest breakout room, small but mighty. So Maya and Gloria, do either of you want to share out? We have some similar themes to what you all were talking about.
Well, we were excited to just be in community with each other, and we are both part of a professional learning fellowship through Creek, where it's just really nice to diversify your professional learning experience. Because like we had a big fellowship day with all of our teacher participants recently, and the lead got sick, like really sick at the last minute. And so we just mentioned how nice it is to be working in collaboration across county offices, and just having that extra little detail of like having 2 people per session, knowing what's going on. So then as people drop last minute and unexpectedly, you've always got backup. So that was just good best practices that worked out well for us. And then the good news was I just happened to be doing a presentation, and I shouted out the business office because they're amazing and they work so hard. And they were just shocked to get recognized. And then they come up to me and they're like, we know where all the money is. Like, we know every grant, we know all the things. We're the ones that do all the reporting. Like, if you have ideas, just ask us and we can probably find you a pot of money where there's room. And that was just wonderful to think about as another resource, is just go make friends with your business office, because they gave back like multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars last year, because certain grants, there just wasn't anything going for a detail. And so they had to give it back. And they're like, you always have ideas. Like, tell us your ideas. We'll fund it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So, you know, another lead if you haven't already made friends with your business office.
That's such great advice, Maya. I happened to be standing in the office of our outdoor school director yesterday when one of our business people came by, and she was like, oh, guess what? I found a pot of money to cover, like last year, our outdoor school was so in the red because of all the atmospheric rivers and cancellations.
Right.
And she's like, oh, you're like 6 figures in the black now because I found the money. The business office just figured that out. So I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So that's great advice. I would not have thought to ask.
Yeah, and I love how that story just goes to show that it's all about relationships again, just like the other group was talking about. And I'll just share a quick story as well. So we are dealing with facilities quite a bit because I'm the environmental literacy and sustainability coordinator. So I have worked really hard to make some friendships with facilities folks. And there's a group that convenes here once a month, and it's all the M&O directors. And now that I've established a relationship with the person who convenes that group, you know, the last M&O meeting that they had, our facilities lead here at SMCOE, he calls me on the phone and he goes, hey, Julie, all the M&O directors are meeting. Do you want to come and make any announcements? I go, now? He said, yes, right now. And I said, yes, I do. You know, so without that relationship, I wouldn't have been able to go down there and, you know, do a little bit of professional learning for the facilities people. So just, yeah, relationships again. And then Gloria also mentioned this outdoor equity grant that everybody should know about. It's super important for getting kids out into particularly state parks. It's from the State Parks Foundation, and it's due on December 14th. And you can use the money for transportation, for getting kids out, which is really fantastic because that's always the thing that is difficult. So, yeah. And she also mentioned part of the job that we have is just brokering resources and letting people know about the resources. So that's part of professional learning as well. Oh, I'm sorry. I think it's the Department of Parks and Rec, not the state parks. So that was the professional learning. I'm just making sure here, outdoor equity grants program. Yeah, Parks and Recreation, California Department of Parks and Recreation. Okay, so moving back over to our slides here. So our next steps. So we have completed the first half of our meeting. The first half is for us to be able to network and talk with each other and learn from each other. And then the optional hour 2 is coming up, and Amity is going to lead us through this focus topic of curriculum and instruction leverage points. And so that's going to be a fantastic second hour. But for the first hour, we'd love for you to share your gots and needs on this Jamboard. So this first one is the GOTS, and then we have needs for future sessions, and that's it. So I'll stop sharing my screen and I will put the Jamboard. I think you all have access to it, but I'll just drop it in the chat here too. So let's just take a minute to do that right now. Okay, so the Jamboard is in
I
the chat.
think we're going to have a little break in between the first hour and second hour, that optional hour, for those of you who want to come back for that, just to get off Zoom and have a mental break from the screen. So once you finish with your gots and needs, you can take a break and come back at 10. Let's do a 9-minute break because you're all doing the gots and needs right now at 10:10, for anyone who wants to join in the curriculum and instruction entry points. Go ahead and do it. I just was closing a few to make it easier.
I know. Leslie, I just realized I owe you a document for those bookmarks, I think. Was that you that emailed me a while back?
Oh my gosh. Yes, that was from
So-
after our summer institute. Yes.
Yes. And I finally put them all together in a folder, and I can't
Oh
find
my
the folder,
gosh.
but I'll send it to you.
I did not want to make extra work, but
Oh no,
I'm
it was
telling you, those I had those with me when I was working with a group of teachers, and it
Mhm.
finally, the cross-cutting concepts finally clicked for them. And I don't know why it was looking at it in that format. I mean, we had done stuff with it forever. And I was like, these are
That's nice.
brilliant. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Yay for helping one another. Well, we're going to get started. I'm not sure if Yami's back yet, but I want to respect your time, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with a brief introduction to this part. The purpose of this second hour isn't to have a huge download session of information, but we want to at least bring back some of the tools and some of the resources and concepts that have been presented at previous community of practice meetings on this topic, because the community of practice has a bit of flux, and then people who might have missed the sessions on this topic can get a little speed catch up before going into just conversational for most of the time. So I will zoom through these slides rather quickly because this is meant to be more of a discussion time for all of us. And so if you see something and want to ask questions after, just keep that in mind. And just to situate us and remind us that with environmental literacy, we're working across the whole school system, which means we're intersecting with the campus, the curriculum, and community and culture pillars, whether it's facilities greening or emergency preparedness, and then environmental literacy integration, and then health and wellness and SEL and stewardship in the community and culture pillars. And so today we wanted this deeper dive to just be about this curriculum pillar, like how can we move the needle in the curriculum area. And when thinking about that, it helps to just think of your own context first. Within your own COE, what types of curriculum instruction programs and services does your COE offer? How are you organized? Do you have a team that works with specialists in different content areas? Are you smaller and people wear a million hats? So just sort of keeping in mind your own context and what might be the best places where teaching and learning lives and can connect with environmental literacy, and anticipate any roadblocks and challenges. So those opportunities and challenges. And we also wanted to start off to make sure that everybody knows there are mandates for this work. So you have some teeth behind you for getting integration with environmental literacy being integrated into our curriculum frameworks, all except for English language arts now, which is exciting. And the state also has awards. There are state and federal level recognition programs and awards. So there are links in these slides. These slides are chock full of more resources. So that's why we wanted to include them in this segment. So you can go back to these resources of the mandates and expectations for schools and the standards connections from the state Department of Education viewpoint. And then we also in Cali have really adopted this idea of thinking about environmental literacy integration along a continuum. If we're going to have systemic change in such a big system, we need to be flexible about how people are integrating from this sort of mild level where it's more supplemental to the spicy, transformative, problem-based learning that's, you know, very student-driven, student solution focused. And that is a helpful way to make sure that you're not leaving people out, that you can get as many people on board as possible. And also to recognize that curriculum instruction, teachers who are doing this work aren't only doing it in one area all the time in their classroom. For some of the curriculum that they're teaching, it might be an excellent fit to have a really spicy unit where they're doing problem-based learning, but then other standards that they have might mean that it really is just appropriate as a supplement. So the same teachers might be bouncing around this continuum as well. And depending on where you are in that continuum, it does affect like the growth toward environmental literacy. So if you think about that, if all we're ever doing is supplemental, then we're building more this general awareness of the relationship between the environment and human life. And so we do want to advance along that continuum to really get to this more in-depth, rich and solution focused level. And so what we're planning to do today is just share a few entry points within curriculum instruction, and then we can talk about which one of those resonate with you and what questions or resources people have around them. So one entry point is county-wide professional development programs for teachers, which can have a variety of structures and different audiences. But the idea being that these are programs that any teacher can elect themselves to come to. And there is a link here to more resources around this. Some of the benefits of countywide PD programs that are open to all teachers is like that means anyone who wants to be there can be there. Their district might not be prioritizing environmental literacy, so they might not have these opportunities, and so you're increasing access in your county. It can also help you catalyze and identify leaders who can help push the work forward, and you can network like-minded teachers and empower them, and it allows you to learn about successes and challenges in different contexts. And of course, support making connections between schools and local environmental education providers, like Amy was talking about with the partner portal to help add capacity to schools. And some of the considerations around this entry point are, around your own COE structure, whether you have a culture of providing your own PD programs and have strong relationships with districts already. Do you have specific frameworks that you use that you will need to look at how to integrate and not compromise, like Leslie was mentioning with standards in our breakouts earlier? And do you have the time and expertise to build these kinds of programs? Or do you want to maybe partner with others, and what kind of funding and resources are available? And then this other entry point is customized professional development learning, development and learning for districts and schools. And just a reminder of this teacher call to action document that the Cali Innovation Hub created, which is a 3-part publication that really gives you a great roadmap for designing these professional learning experiences. And tailoring them to districts' requests. I've been using it with districts that I'm working with, and it's been really effective. And there are even webinars recorded, one that is specifically for program development providers as the audience of that webinar on how to use this toolkit to develop PD. And then some of the benefits of these customized PD programs are here, which I'm sure you're familiar with. I'm seeing who's here, and you all are PD providers, so I'm not going to dwell long on this slide. But definitely, when we can get those districts to integrate us into their PD days, that is the best, because we know all the teachers will be there. And so things to think about how to make those connections happen and get a district to prioritize it is to really push that environmental literacy can be paired with PD for other subject areas. It's not a standalone necessarily, it doesn't have to be, and that it can really integrate with priorities that districts have, like around SEL currently has been a big one for our districts after COVID. And so working with other COE coordinators in your county office is a great approach, and then just leveraging your county-wide programs that are already in to integrate environmental literacy into them. And then lastly, about this customized PD, it's also an opportunity where you can plant the seed of asking districts to help work together with you on gathering assessment data so that you're better serving their needs when you're developing the PD. And that actually leads to just another entry point. It might be that that's your starting point, is working with districts who are doing some kind of baseline assessments of their professional development needs and getting in at the ground level if possible, or suggesting support for them so that you can make sure that environmental literacy is a part of that data gathering. And there are resources here linked for baseline assessments and surveys approaches. Within that whole process, especially with those last two entry points, you're getting a lot of opportunities to build relationships with districts and other stakeholders to generate demand. So just thinking about, these are the most common roles that request customized PD. And then other components of outreach and recruitment are here just to think about. And again, I know you're all experienced providers, so I'm not going to dwell long on this part. Another entry point that was brought up in our earlier conversations is expanded learning, and how that can supplement or add on to the curriculum instruction during the core day, and have some overlap in content, but it can also be its own standalone, just focused on environmental literacy, that we can provide professional learning for districts and programs. And there's some great resources there. And then leveraging libraries as partners is an interesting entry point that Andra took a deep dive into, working with librarians in San Mateo County a while back, and ended up getting so excited about it that she put it all together into a library resource page. So I have some librarians in my teacher institute this past 2 years, so it is very interesting to see how we can leverage that library system as well. And then the funding puzzle is another piece to think about, that we can talk about where the funds are coming as we move on for curriculum and instruction-based programs. And then just again, that teacher call to action document as a resource to get started if people want to focus on parts of that. And a last idea is just PD and focused on outdoor learning as an instructional strategy that is recommended in the California curriculum frameworks. that COEs can definitely position themselves as the expert in the area to help districts train their staff to better utilize their outdoor spaces on campuses and connect with environmental education partners. And then that can really open up the opportunities for connecting across the pillars of campus and curriculum. So I'm going to stop my quick download of all those slides and just open it up to discuss with all of you. We're such a small group. We're not going to do breakouts, of course, but what, what questions people have, what resources are you wanting to explore, and any challenges or opportunities in your region that you want to discuss. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Amy, can I don't know, what's the protocol? Raise our hand.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, thank you. So Amity, first I want to say I appreciate so much the time that you take to organize all of this information and to share it with us. It is so meaningful. I cannot tell you, right? It is very meaningful. And so thank you, Jess, for me, it's so important to stop in the craziness and the busyness and to really just focus. And you provide the context and the ideas and just the background information that I need in order to move forward. So first, I just want to say thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Yummy. I really appreciate you carving out the space to focus on this, because I know it's hard when you're not. I have the luxury of being a full-time environmental literacy coordinator, and that is not the case for most of the people in this community of practice. That's our goal, is that every county office gets to have a full-time person. So I really appreciate all of you wearing your multiple hats and prioritizing this. And anything we can do to support you, please, yeah, let us know.
I was just going to share, kind of going back to that library resource, because that was something I forgot about, and then I'm glad you brought it up again. So we actually we helped run Silicon Valley Reads, and our focus this year will be on a climate book, or climate books. And so that's another, like you mentioned, a great entry point to work with our librarians at our city libraries, our county libraries. We have a library coordinator for our school libraries now. And so having that again be a place where we could bring in those books and those titles. And yeah, I think, and I'm really excited that we're going to do this like across Silicon Valley, and that's going to be the focus. Yeah, so that's another thing to think about on top of everything else we do, right? So.
Yeah, any other entry points people wanted to discuss more or hear a little bit more detail about, or questions?
I think one of the routes that I've tried to take over the last couple of years has been getting your kids outside, and just the social emotional focus that we have now, and the importance of getting kids just outside. And it doesn't have to be to learn science. It can just be, if you're working on math problems, go sit outside under a tree, just kind of those little tiny steps just to get them not afraid of being outside. And I have a lot of teachers realize that they were waiting for permission to be able to take their students outside. And that was a really eye-opening thing for me, because that was a norm for me as a teacher. And that isn't the norm. And so I feel like that is the big entry point that we have to give teachers that permission to take their students outside. And then, of course, they panic because of the management issues of having a group of students outside. So helping them with those basic pieces. And then once they do that, then start showing them the curriculum connections, the environmental literacy connections, the science connections, the math connections, the ELA connections, the art connections, then they'll seem to come easier. But it was hard to just say, And I realized this the hard way because the first time I'm like, just take your kids outside and you're going to be doing this environmental stuff outside. And it's next to NGSS. And they're like, whoa, time out. We can go outside. So it's really made me rethink. So I appreciate some of those different entry points that you shared, because that will, the library one is fantastic. I'd never thought about that. So that's my new one.
Yeah,
If
I'm
I
excited
can
about
add
that
to
library
that.
one too.
Absolutely. I encountered the same issues where they need to hear it from their principals that it is okay to take their students outside. A few years ago, I was doing a site visit, and this is a campus that has really beautiful open trees and grass right before the portables. And on the other side of the portable, it looks out to a lake. And I walk in and they're all sitting, looking forward, learning about habitats. And I'm thinking, why aren't we doing this outside, right? And when I talk to great unit, but again, why the screen when you just look to the side? The lake is right there and open area is on the other side. And so I talked to the teacher, and the teacher said, oh no, we're not allowed to do that. I don't think I can take them outside. And I'm like, what a missed opportunity. And so since then, there's been that dialogue, right? But it needs to come from the top. And so if there's anything that we can continue doing to encourage and send the message to principals during our meetings to please share this out with your staff, right? That it is okay. And then how do you? I love the whole planning to set a positive and productive ways to be outside. Okay, let's start small, right? Not just think that you can take a unit of lesson and start facilitating outside before prepping and getting the students acquainted with how to. So thank you for uplifting that, because it's so important.
Yeah, and I have had that experience in both ways, like teachers not knowing they have permission, and also teachers who didn't have permission, administrators who were the roadblocks and saying, why are you taking the kids down to the creek? Like they think it's just fun, like you're just having fun down there. And so really giving teachers that teacher call to action document so they have the resources they can use to justify the outdoor work can help, giving them the mandates information and just helping them find the why from their district priorities. For ours, a lot of the times it is now social emotional learning because of so many, so much research that shows the health and wellness benefits and mental health benefits of time outside. And then that other roadblock that you just mentioned of teachers feeling comfortable enough to take the learning outside. I started doing my PD sessions on integration entirely outdoors with teachers the whole session, which was a game changer, because then afterward we'd reflect like, how was that? We just did like all that learning outdoors. And yeah, they were just like gleeful. They're like, it felt so good not to be on my phone, or like they just felt so good to them physically and emotionally having spent that, sometimes they were an hour and a half, sometimes a 3-hour session or whatever. So anytime you can have a training model entirely being outdoors, builds their confidence and helps them experience the why it's valuable. And if you ever want resources to try to help design that, I'm happy to share agendas I have used in the past and things like that. It's pretty introductory stuff, like to try and give them those nuts and bolts of preparing to go out there.
I have a question, Amity.
Yeah.
Of all the partners that you just shared right now, which one, or can you point us toward several partners that would be willing to do after school environmental literacy work with students, not with teachers, but directly with students and or on Saturdays? With the ELAP monies and districts needing to use those funds after school and on the weekend, I get a lot of requests with Yami, and we need to contract someone, we need to hire someone. And so if you can point me to a couple, and I know that's hard because I would need them to be in my region,
Right, in your
I would so
region.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I can look at who down there might be able to recommend some folks. Isn't that Mary Wall's area?
Yeah, it's
You-
Mary, and
Yeah.
we've had some changes in our board, but I really do need someone to just be able to do large scale work for the districts after school and
Yeah.
on the weekends.
Right, like how they're starting to do it in San Diego with or Orange County with
Inside the outdoors?
Inside the Outdoors. Yeah, I'm like, it's not every kid outdoors. Inside the Outdoors is like taking on a huge contract to be doing a ton of that.
Yes.
And so looking for what organizations could work in your region for that kind of partnership. I mean, the partner portal would be a place to look first, but I don't know how much that's populated for your region
Well,
yet. And then
yeah.
I can definitely ask contacts around and let you know if who might know. I don't have
Yeah.
and I don't know the environmental education community partners in that region, but I know people who've been conveners of them in the past. So
And honestly, I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier, but because we're in this space right now, having these conversations, it just dawned on me, right, that I should probably reach out to these partners because in looking for companies, organizations that can provide this type of service after school and Saturday. I mean, I've been looking for STEM, right? STEM PD, but and so I do that list that I have is very short. It's a very short list because most organizations that I connect with and I ask, they will do work for teachers. But when you ask for them to work with students, it is quite different conversation. You need lots of materials, you need kids. It is just so, it's just a different space. And so now I'm thinking, gosh, could there be environmental organizations that could, instead of being inside the classroom after school, let's go outside, right? That kind of stuff, which is what the kids need after school.
yeah, it's interesting how Letty might have more ideas about this. Oh, I see a hand up. Good. Yeah, because there's that strangeness of the after school provider world and then the environmental education field trip provider world. And we want to bring those more together so that some of those organizations that are thought of as just field trips could actually be offering those after school programs. So Letty, go ahead and share what you were wanting to share.
Thank you. And yes, so I wanted to share that within our expanded learning division, we have STEAM hubs, and Orange County does participate. We currently have 2 new staff members, and I can gladly connect you to them so you can start talking to them about the work that is being done within our STEAM hubs to support our expanded learning time. And within that, I know that within our region, we have a strong focus on environmental literacy, but they are starting to also, as a statewide, we're starting to have conversations of how do we extend this work and learn together. So great opportunities for you to make that connection with our colleagues. So I'll put it in the chat so you'll have their contact information.
What's the STEAM hub
you.
that would include Riverside?
That wouldn't necessarily have it. However, I know that our local teams might know of certain partners as we're also trying to build that they might have resources in that area. So that would
Letty,
be a
can
great
you-
initial connection.
Yeah, no, thank you. That sounds great. Letty, did you say you're with LACO?
No, we're part of Region 5, so Santa Cruz, Santa Clara, Monterey, San Benito
Cruz.
County.
But they have these STEAM hubs around the state. And
Yes.
so that's why I was wondering if there was one that was like close to Riverside, but the closest one
when
is not
when you
quite
say
there.
yeah, when you say STEAM hubs, Amity, are you referring to the STEM learning ecosystems? Is that what you're referring
For
to?
expanded learning, yeah.
No. just STEM learning ecosystem for anything really.
Yes.
Yes, Letty, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, so within our
Yeah.
STEAM hub, it's everything and under the umbrella of STEAM. And it's really
Yes.
bringing a focus area within our expanded learning time to be intentional that our academic enrichment time, that we have activities that have the relevance and the rigor, that we do the outdoor learning, that we bring
Yeah.
specialized individuals to talk about STEAM careers and the field.
Yeah. So I appreciate you saying that because we are a STEM learning ecosystem here in Riverside. And I know there's one in LA, Orange County, San Diego, right down south, pretty strong and robust. And we do all the things that you're describing around STEM and STEAM and bringing in more engineering design components, art. I mean, so much is happening. But I think that, at least for me, I mean, I don't know my other Southern Cal friends, but for me in Riverside, I know a big piece that has been missing in our STEAM umbrella or STEM umbrella in our office is the environmental literacy piece. So, yeah, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, so bringing in some of those community-based partners, the environmental education partners into your hub would be a way to
Well,
start maybe
yes, I mean,
connections.
we have them, right? So many, so much, pretty robust. But I guess I want to find someone that will do work with kiddos, with the students, which is
Yeah, that's
not, it's
interesting.
not the
In my
same.
area,
Yeah.
they're almost all student serving groups. So it's
Oh,
interesting to
yeah.
me that
For me,
yours are
it's the
more
opposite.
teacher serving groups.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yes.
they must be there. We just have to find them.
Yeah, for me, it's
student-serving
the
groups.
opposite. Sure, we do PD for teachers. What, students? 500, 1,000, 2,000? No, we don't do that. So it's a different conversation.
Yeah, totally different.
Yeah, I was just going to add on what Letty was saying. That we're kind of, as our Creek project, I'm working with Mara, and we're piloting something where we're going to try to actually do some training with the expanded learning providers so that they can do those kinds of activities. So we're trying to, create some space for those, those that are interested to really learn. And so I think I'm going to work with them in a couple weeks and work with them on some project learning tree like things that I already know and can train them on. So it's just like, providing that training to them so that they can also take kids outside, which they do anyways, usually. So it's one of those.
Right, but
like,
have
it's
it be explicitly about environmental literacy
Exactly.
growth. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and kind of we joined forces with the Region 5 conference for their expanded learning programs providers at the start of the school year to have an environmental literacy strand to start build the capacity of those existing program leaders to bring that environmental literacy into their after school programs. But it sounds like you need even more people to lead programs, period, and just it would be good to have those be outdoor environmentally focused ones if you can find them. Well, I'm looking at the time. In the past we've kind of wrapped up, not gone the full hour for this segment since it is a long piece, unless people, or have really pressing needs. But so I just wanted to give a last option to see if there are any other resources or questions people had before we go into closing it down.
Hey, we're going to talk more about expanded learning in December, so make sure you come to that one, Yoni.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I've got my wheels are turning. It's part of this work is asking the right question, right? Asking the right questions, seeing the connections, and so I really appreciate just chatting with you guys. Yes, we do a lot with STEM here, a lot of work. And I mean, right now I'm at a school site where we're doing STEM PD. We're helping our elementary schools become STEM schools. I mean, how amazing, right? And so, yeah, but I haven't put in the environmental lit piece to our after school. So I'm like, I can't believe why I haven't done that. So thank you. Appreciate you guys all.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for being here and working on integrating it into all those. Yeah, you serve so many students. Any work you're doing is so impactful to get the integration in. So thank you very much. And I think we're gonna wrap it up and yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Thanks for being a part of the conversation, and we'll
I
see
put the
you
link to
next
the
month.
bookmarks in the chat, by the way, Leslie. I don't know if you saw them.